Hello and welcome once again to Dul Johnson's Creative Talks. It's been quite a while that we put up a new video. I apologize sincerely to our followers on this channel. I promise that from now on we will try to make sure that we have a new video on for you as often as possible. Now we're back and I want us to talk about something that I feel very, very strongly about. It's one of my mantra to my students of creative writing. And I think I've probably talked about it before, but I still have questions coming from previous students, from current students, and from other young writers. And I think it's important to just talk briefly about it. The difference or the relationship between description and narrative. I've always argued that for you to write good narrative, you ought to be able to show, to demonstrate, to make your reader feel, see, experience, smell, whatever, to be able to wake up the five senses of the reader as they read through your work. That is the purpose for today's talk. Now remember, I'm still asking you, if you have questions, put them in the box below, and I would suggest that you always subscribe and of course share the video all the time. Now, I want to define description, and then I will define narrative, and then I will show you how the two come together. It is as simple as this. Description is the creation of a picture, a static picture in the mind of the reader. This picture can be of a character, of a place, of a thing, or whatever. So for example, you are introducing a character to the reader. The character has features, right? So you paint a picture of the features of the character. They are tall, they are short, they are fat, they are dark, they are fair in complexion, or whatever, right? If it is a place, it is a room, for example. It's painted blue, it's painted red, it has these kind of curtains or blinds, etc., etc. These are descriptions, right? So that is description. Painting a mental picture, but it's a static picture in the mind of the reader. Now, narrative is the dramatization or demonstration, which I call showing the activities or actions that your character is performing. That is what narrative is all about. Okay? So a character is doing something. A character is talking. A character is walking. A character is fighting. Whatever they are doing, you are going to paint a moving picture in the head of the reader. Now, so it is action. It is, more or less something is happening and you are seeing it. And you can even feel it, and sometimes you can even smell it, and so on and so forth. So that is what narrative is, as opposed to description. Think about it. There is a mental static picture, and there is the mental picture of a moving picture of things happening to and with your character. Now, how do the two come together? Because my argument is that the best narrative is when description and narrative come together. The best narrative is when the writer is able to bring slowly dovetail description into the narrative itself. In other words, you see, what is happening to the ordinary reader who is not a writer, it actually looks like description. It feels like description. It sounds like description, right? So you use your ability to create that fixed mental picture to create moving pictures. Okay, so I give you an example of what a narrative is. Now, this is not to suggest that all of narrative is dramatization or, demonstration or whatever. It is not exactly so. But your narrative has to be suffused with actions and activities so that it will be as visual as possible for you to hold the attention of the reader. So here's an example. Let's think about a car on the road. Let's imagine that the driver is a careless person. We have had the picture of the driver, before we started the narrative. We've painted a picture of the driver. He looks like a crazy person. His hair is unkempt. He's wearing a red shirt or whatever, and so on and so forth. Now he starts driving. So we are going with him on the road, right? Now, the narrative becomes active and visual when, let's assume that in his carelessness, the car is about or is going to have an accident because of the way he's driving. So we see, for example, he is turning left and right, talking to the people in the car instead of concentrating. His bushy head is, bobbing up and down or going left and right. His hands are going up and down and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, we hear the brakes screeching, and then we find the car, diving towards the left and then to the right, and of course it tumbles and turns and capsizes. And now that actually becomes a very visual but moving picture for the reader. That is not description, but you see, we see that it is a picture just the way someone would have described, right? But here is picture in action. So that is what narrative is. Now, when you have plenty of this in your story, you are likely to hold your reader from the beginning to the end. Of course, there should be moments when you allow the reader to course, gently. There is really not such tension and, I will talk about action and activity in another video so that you can even understand, because I'm talking about action and activity at the same time. And moments of activity, moments of just plain talk, and of course dialogue and the rest will come into narrative as well. But that the king of it or the queen of it is when you inject the visual pictures, moving pictures, to make your story captivating. Now, I hope you have now understood clearly the difference between description and narrative. Learn to describe well, then learn to transport description into narrative so that your story will be visual and active and action-packed. I hope you have learned something. Thank you.